Welcome to another edition of the RF Video Shoot Interview Series. Today we're joined by a true legend in the sport of professional wrestling, George Steele. Thanks for being here today.
Hey, you! I'm going to be very straight with you. I was not a wrestling fan. I never watched wrestling. I could care less about wrestling. I was into football. Money wasn't the same as it is now. I want to be a wrestler. And that's how it started. This is old school. This is real old school.
Right.
He was dying. He said, let's finish this damn thing. So we boom and bing, covered, and that was my first match. And fell dead.
Wow.
I mean, he died. And Johnny Gates is one of the old-time wrestlers who got beat all the time. Said, drag him back to the ring. Maybe I can cover him and get a pin. Get him out there when he's still warm. So it's like, whoa, this is a pretty cool business. All that I learned from the Sheik, watching him. Chairs flying, run through the crowd, chase people, boom, boom, boom. My wife told me to do that. It wasn't any creation of a group of people or writers there. This is what made George Steele. This is really the key to my success. Broda was complaining about how heavy I was and how stiff I was. And I was stiff, but so was Broda. He worked that way. Vince McMahon needs somebody to come into New York, and I've recommended you, but you're a real jerk. We got to get this straightened out. Meanwhile, I'm yelling at him. You're a jerk. And we're going back and forth. It's not easy. I mean, if you're working him, we got blood the hard way often. We did things tough. And he said, well, this is a Steel City. Why don't we call him Jim Steele? I said, I like Steele. I don't like Jim. And somebody else said, George. I said, that's it. My first show in Madison Square Garden, very first one. I don't know if anyone else that ever did this. I did TV. The first time I wrestled in Madison Square Garden was the WWF Championship, and we won an hour through. Tony Puglisi said, yeah, maybe you can eat a turnbuckle. And we all laughed. Jay was a great worker. The ladies were working with me. He didn't want to hit him that hard. I mean, I'm stiff. Right. And he's like, whoa, you hit me hard again, I'm leaving. He said, that's what Vince wants. I said, I really don't care what Vince wants. But I put a wrist lock out. And he's standing there. I said, hit me. He says, I can't. You got my left hand. I said, hit me. Lay it in. He said, I can't. You got my left hand. I said, ring my bell. The referee turned around. Ding, ding, ding. And they rang the bell. Got away from him. Right. He goes, ha, ha, ha. He come across the ring, caught me again, jammed me in. Give me the garlic treatment again. I caught his thumb again. Got away from him. Rolled out of the ring and went and left. That was it. That was enough of Andre. Vince McMahon Sr., Mr. McMahon's biggest fear was always a riot. And it was a heel. I mean, that's why they wrestled and put the belt on Billy in Baltimore, because Baltimore wasn't doing great business at the time.
Right. And
the chances of a riot was a lot less than in New York. I ran into Backlund in Japan before it was ever a champion. He was a skinny-looking runt kid. And he wanted me to take this picture back to Mr. McMahon and give it to him. And I'm looking at that because he looked like a young Howdy Doody. I'm going to end up fighting with Blackjack Mulligan. I said, no, I'm not afraid of that. It'd be a heck of a fight. But what's the point? I mean, I would agree with him. He should be hot. We're going to have a physical deal over it. For what? For a few bucks. As we made that switch to babyface, or whatever you want to call it, I call it from being serious to a cartoon character. You had to have uppers to go to the ring. You had to have dollars to sleep. You had to have steroids to look good. I got really hooked on halcyons, sleeping pills, so I could sleep at night. I was never involved in the other stuff, a little bit. And then he said to me, he says, after about 4 beers, he said, I wanted to ride you for a reason. I got something I got to tell you. So what's that? He says, you are a detriment to the business. The Sheik and Nikolai are the biggest blockers in the world. So as I'm coming down with that chair, his hands go up here. The wedding between Butcher Vachon and his wife, and it was a whole cartoon thing. And then for the reception, Vince went out and bought a bunch of vodka and booze, and got us all drunk and taped that too. It was all done. It was, yeah, absolutely. The pie fight, everything was a shoot. That's when I realized the business was changing. Being a cartoon was funny. It was going to make a lot of money. Well, Haystacks Calhoun was always willing to get blood, but he was afraid to cut himself. Actually, I think I was a great plant farm for him. Vinny, Brat, the boss's kid. Vince came off the bed that he was sitting on, never touched the ground hard. I had the guy through the door and was going to throw him over the second deck on the cars. JYD, George Steele, and probably Tito Santana were 3 guys that like to stir the crap. Right. And really make it stink in the locker rooms. We'd start stories and ribs. And Randy comes into me, like, I mean, I don't know what he thought. I got to talk to you. He'd lost it all night, I'm sure. I'm sure Liz caught hell all night. I got to talk to you. So we go in the shower room. He starts this here stuff, hit me about 3 times in the chest. I grabbed him. I said, listen, you got me one more time. I'm taking everything to be a swirly. You know what a swirly is?
Right.
I'm going to shove your head in the toilet and flush it. So he's asking me about the match, and I'm going, Earl! He asked me something else. Earl! I'm not wrestling Earl. And he says something. Finally I said, Earl, dead cat! And I pulled the dead cat out, and I mean, he flipped out. I'm going to do this show. Yeah, I think they paid me, I think, $4,000. So it certainly wasn't about the money. But it was about me sending a message. And boy, did that message go in there big time. They've called me 3 or 4 times to sign this Legends contract they're doing now. I haven't done it. I will not do it until he calls me. I looked him right in the eye, and he had his glasses on the end of his nose. I looked him right in the eye, and I came right at him a little bit. And I said, I got to tell you, I respect a promoter that pays me what I'm worth. And if I got to come back and beg for my money, he can kiss my ass. He sat back like this here, put his glasses back, never got another bad payoff. Leverage.